is Jaap Paul's brother-in-law, and it's my privilege today to be one of the speakers here to reflect on Paul's life. Paul was born and bred on the farm down south and always took immense pride in being a southern man. His motto, go hard or go home, was unflinchingly adhered to throughout his life. His southern farm upbringing instilled a love of all things outdoors, such as fishing, hunting and duck shooting. Outdoors also was his working environment. He was involved years ago in the installation of walking tracks for dock, and more recently held a very sought after position, as he called it, branch manager in the firewood industry. Moving from Southland to Queenstown never ever changed Paul. Even though over the last few years at Waterfall Park he counted Millbrook and Michael Hill as his neighbours, material possessions meant very little to him. His priorities were family, friends and trusted sidekick Magpie, the dog, also known as Delta. He chose to live his life in an uncomplicated and self-sufficient manner, a manner which allowed him to be in constant touch with things most important to him. Both Paul's character and personality were multifaceted. To outsiders, he might have come across as an unusual loner. But to us that knew him, nothing was further from the truth. He showed his love for his family, especially his son Alex, in his own unorthodox but no less sincere way. He was an amazing networker and incredibly sociable. You only have to look around you today to appreciate the diversity of people Paul called his friends. He mixed easily with people from all walks of life, young and old, male, female, well-to-do and not so well off. We all received regular texts from Paul's cell phone, texts rivaling the Enigma code. To speed up the messaging, Paul often deleted all vowels, all consonants, or both. His texts were much more challenging than anything Sudoku could ever offer, and deciphering them would offer hours of entertainment and sometimes frustration. His staying in touch was a sign of his loyalty and love for both his family and friends. Apart from being loyal, Paul was very generous and shared readily in the few things he had. A fish, some potatoes or eggs, firewood, whatever Paul had at any time, he would happily distribute to any of his mates. I was often the grateful recipient of his gifts. The most treasured was his present for my 50th birthday. A Swede, purchased at a roadside stall at Centre Bush for the princely sum of $1.50. Paul didn't suffer from any so-called first world problems. His strength lay in getting on with it. Never one to blame others or ask for handouts. He always managed in his own unique way. If he couldn't afford fuel for his truck, he would hitchhike, walk, or hop on his push bike. If groceries ran out, it would be toast for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He was averse to drawing attention to himself and happily shared moments where others hugged the limelight. One of the few times he would boast about himself would be when talking about his exploits as a 3-star general in the States Army. Although most comfortable in familiar company and surroundings, Paul had an avid interest in global affairs. He used to read every page of the newspaper, and his excellent memory gave him an extensive and always up-to-date knowledge of what was happening in the world at large. The local rag also was devoured by Paul. He kept a watchful eye on what was happening around the traps, and funeral notices especially held his interest. Loyalty to his friends was guaranteed to the very end, by Paul attending many a final farewell. And I don't think anyone should be surprised at all to see him here today at his own sending off. Although we all will miss him terribly, Please let us remember for the life he lived. With at time limited resources, Paul chose a path which perfectly suited him and ultimately brought satisfaction and happiness. At Waterfall Park, in his man cave, with Magpie by his side, and his family and friends close by, Paul was already in his earthly heaven. Let us remember the wonderful times we shared with Paul, his quirkiness, sharp wit, good nature, generosity, and above all, friendship. And please let us also take solace in the manner in which Paul passed away. He was in his element, doing what he loved best, travelling south with his mates, his dog, and a good supply of spades, and kayaking the river to catch enough fish to be able to share it around on his return to Waterfall Park. So farewell, Paul. After a full life of going hard, it's now time to go home and rest in peace.